Welcome back. This week, we're going to do something a little bit different. And instead of focusing on pitching or pitchers, we are actually going to focus on parents. And so, what we did is we talked to our parents and asked them about their experiences watching us grow up and compete at the highest levels of softball. So, we're lucky enough to have my dad, John, here. He was the only one of our parents who was comfortable enough being on camera. So, we actually get to hear from him directly. What was it like watching us grow up playing?
It was a long road. Number one, you started when you were about 7, and heck, we're still not finished. It was great because you learn to live vicariously through your kids, but it's hard too because of the ups and downs. You're right there living those ups and downs with your daughter for many, many years. We were fortunate because it was an incredible ride. So you go from T-ball or coach pitch to winning state, college World Series, playing professionally, internationally, all that. It was a pretty special time.
My dad said, he was just there for the ride for a lot of it. He thought it was really fun to watch, even at a younger age, but growing up, he loved watching me compete. And he said something that was the most fun was being able to watch me and the teams that I was on getting better and growing as we got older. As for my mom, I kind of got put into softball for something. They just wanted me to do something fitness related or physical. So she wasn't really expecting the whole run that I had, but she also realized that it was going to take up a lot of time and money, but figured it'd be worth the investment just because it was something that I really enjoyed doing, and it became worth it once I found the right teams.
My mom loved every minute of it. She loved watching, like there was a group of us that started together in Little League and we grew up together and we won state at varsity, and then she loved every minute of it moving into college and the pro level. What was your experience of college softball like as a parent?
My view was different than some parents because, I was a softball coach. I knew softball really well. And going off to college, as a parent, you're dealing first with your daughter probably leaving home for the first time. So you're dealing with that side of it. And when they go off to college ball, the players are dealing with one being away from home for the first time, dealing with the team and the requirements of the team, but also dealing with academics and the requirements of academics, and then also trying to have a social life and personal issues and such. So the player is going through so many things. And as a parent, you're going through those too. And hopefully you are, because hopefully your daughter's talking to you about, a lot of those things. And obviously at Cal, the team dynamics were legendary. One of the big things is that you ended up on the West Coast, so that made it easy. It's a quick flight down, or I could drive down in a day, or same time zone, you can call anytime, and so that made a huge difference. As a parent, you end up being a listener, trying to be a mentor a little bit, like you always have been as a parent. Sometimes tough love, because it's really different knowing that you can't say things. For example, being a softball coach, there were things I'd want to say, but I'd say, no, you need to go talk to your coach. And because, it wasn't my position to do or say something. It was an unbelievably great time for me. And especially when you're pitching College World Series, pitching in special games, things like that, those are our highlights. It's a really special time. The friendships and such were amazing. And then with you keeping in contact with a number of the players and stuff, that's really a great thing. We were fortunate because we were able to have the time and the wherewithal to be able to go to, like, your senior year, virtually every game. Felt bad for your brother, but because in most families, the sibling gets dragged along to all these tournaments. And I think most families probably can sit there and go, yep. But that's why we always made sure that we made time for your brother to go do special things wherever we traveled. It was Oklahoma or East Coast or West Coast or Hawaii or wherever. So it's tough on siblings. I can't imagine families that have multiple siblings playing softball or sports at the same time.
So I asked my dad this, and I quote, he said, well, obviously it was awesome. He said that he quickly realized how fortunate I was and like how fortunate we were as a family for me to land at such an amazing program because of how much they support you and how much they develop you as a person. It's not just about softball. So he was saying that he was very happy about that. And both of my parents, more specifically my mom, because she was out there every weekend or almost every weekend, she really bonded with all the other parents and families. Sometimes I think she liked doing that more than seeing me, but but my mom, if you've ever seen her in the stands, she is cheering the whole time, yelling the whole time, jumping up and down. So she loved that aspect of it. And I know it was very emotional for her the last year. She was saying, she started counting the last first game, last warm up, last World Series, last all of that. So both of my parents really enjoyed me in college.
I asked my mom this also, and she said it was exciting, nerve-wracking, and stressful all at once, but she would not have changed it for the world. She loved the group of parents and the players. We had a really special family when I was there, but she wishes that she wouldn't have missed so much time by hiding in bathrooms.
What are some of your favorite memories of us playing softball?
It'd be easy to say watching you pitch in the College World Series, watching you win state, those highlights of softball. But really, it was other things. One was when you played for the Lady Hawks. It was an incredibly special group of 13 players. But every one of you was absolutely passionate about playing and skillful. Every one of you had the ability. And even at practices, indoor, outdoor, it didn't matter. You guys were there, and every one of you worked your asses off to get better. And it showed with the tournaments you won, whether gold tournaments in California and, other places. That was an incredibly special time, that team. So that's one of my favorite memories. The other was when you got the nickname Stony, all those times that your mom couldn't watch you pitch because it's too stressful. And I loved all those times. Oh, I mean, there's just so many favorite memories, spending time, with Mike Silver, sneaking Tecate into the stadiums and drinking it.
Yep. You had a whole system.
Yeah. And watching the games and, friendships like that came about through softball. I mean, it was just, over, your 20-year career probably from when you first started to, quit playing and stuff. I mean, there was just so many. The one I regret. Another question is about regrets or stuff like that. The one regret I have was that I wasn't in Nebraska for the regionals that one year.
In 2004.
Pardon?
2004.
Yeah. And when it was the same thing, when the bases were loaded with no outs in the very first game of the regionals, and they brought you in, and I think you gave up 2 hits the rest of the tournament, maybe 2 hits. 4 hits?
I think it was 4.
Yeah. And you would have had a perfect game except for a successful bunt at the end of the last game. That's one tournament that is a memory, but not a favorite because I wish I'd been there. The tailgates, at Cal, just spending the time with so many people.
Yep.
It was so special. One of my favorite memories is when your U14 coaches, Mike and Mike, told you you'd never be good enough to pitch. One of the great lessons for new pitchers, even older pitchers, is when just in life, if somebody tells you you can't, take it as a challenge. Don't accept it. If it's something you want to do, if it's something you're passionate about, don't let anybody tell you you're not good enough.
So my dad said a lot of our favorite memories or his favorite memories came from our bullpens. Every day or almost every day, he was the one that would be catching me And so, the car ride there, car ride back, the actual bullpen, obviously spent a lot of time together doing that. And even over college, he said that he loved being able to catch me over breaks. And he also really loved, like I said before, the parents. And he was like, obviously the winning's nice, but a lot of it, or what you remember about it is all the people that you met or the experiences that like we had together and things like that. So my mom really loved the parents and the tailgating and before games.
My mom had a whole list, winning the high school state championship, 3 college World Series, even though she spent most of the time outside on the phone with her mom getting updates because she couldn't watch what was going on. She loved when I received the Pac-12 Female Athlete of the Year award and when I was inducted to the Hall of Fame. And she loved the experience of traveling and like spending time with the Cal softball community. She just said there were so many fun times that she can't recall them all. What was the experience like for you as parents when we were going through hard times or struggling, and how did you handle that?
So my dad was saying, obviously, it's not fun to see your kids struggling. And so I actually had knee problems for forever and then arm problems a little bit later, kind of high school time. And he said it was very frustrating to see me in pain and have like basically having to work through that because obviously I wanted to continue playing. But what was frustrating for him was not being able to figure out what was wrong or I've had some bad situations with doctors, things like that. So that was something that they're the biggest thing that he felt that was hard for him or when I was struggling physically. And another thing that he found that was difficult was if he was catching my bullpen and he wanted to say something or try to coach me up, trying to not say that because he realized that he's paying like professionals to coach me. And he kind of knew that if I wanted advice or if what are you seeing here? I would ask him. And so that kind of became respected by both of us. And the last thing was in college, he hated seeing things on social media about me or about the team. Like people are ruthless on, especially Twitter. People will bash you and tag you and make sure you see it. So he, that was something that he struggled with because he knew that I would see those, which I eventually deleted that during season, but that was something that he struggled with.
Off the field, it was about all we could do as your parents would really be to listen. Because in most cases, there wasn't a lot we could do to help with the struggles that you had. Whether it was, academics, which was, as good a student as you were really prepared for the academics at Cal your first year.
Nope.
Your first time away from home and on a team that was pretty nuts.
Yeah.
But fun. But most of it was just as a parent, your job is to listen and give advice when you can. But you got to live your life. It's hard as a parent when your kids struggle, because you're emotionally struggling right along with them. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. But how you handle it is people handle it differently. And for us, hopefully, most of the time, we just stayed out of it other than be a sounding board. And then if you asked advice, say something. But, that was it. On the field, it was not my job, or really, it wasn't my position to say much about on the field stuff. That's what your coaches were for, and I'd give you suggestions. I think more often than not would be go talk to Coach Neinmeyer. But that was it. The one place where we did obviously get involved and such was injuries and surgeries and things like that, which
No, there were a lot.
As an athlete, I don't know if you went through unscathed, Nicole, but when you're an athlete at any level, but especially at that level, when you're playing that much and asking so much of your body, stuff's going to break down. Things are going to happen, and that's hard. Fortunately, none of them were too serious. Christina and I talked about it when she was in, well, probably college, but stuff, and saying, just recognize that, when you get older, this is, you're going to feel the effects of all the stuff that you've asked your body to do. And is it worth it? And, the answer obviously was, without a doubt, yes, it was worth it, as any athlete's parent. But I think also as a pitcher, because that repetitive motion, it takes a toll over time. But for the most part, as a parent, of a college player, is just to be a listener and sit back and watch the ride and hopefully enjoy it like we did.
What are you most proud of us for?
My mom said that she's proud of me on many levels. My mental toughness and work ethic never ceased to amaze her, and my passion and drive to excel never wavered. She was extremely proud of me because there was a lot of times that I was playing through pain, but I refused to let my team down. And she's just so far beyond proud of me for the person I've become, a lot of it because of what I've learned and achieved through softball, but also because of the person that I already was, which was driven, compassionate, and unwavering in my values, and someone who's just a pleasure to be around. Thanks, Mom.
My mom said that she's most proud of who I became here and who I'm continuing to grow into. She also said that, softball is just a piece of the puzzle of who I am. And obviously it's helped me become the person I am, but it's not everything. And then my dad said that he's proud of me for always being a good teammate, supporting other people. He's also very proud that I was able to develop the ability to speak up for myself and speak up for other people as well.
God, I thought about this one, and one of the things I'm most proud of is when you went to Christy, your high school coach, and told her she should ask me to be the assistant coach. And as a parent, when your son or daughter, goes to the coach and said, you should ask my dad, in this case, to be the assistant coach, that's a pretty special thing. It means that, as a parent, you have a pretty special relationship with your child. So that's one of the biggest things that I'm most proud of. Obviously, there's all those, I'm proud of the performances you gave. Actually, another one that I'm really proud of is when I think we were down in Hayward, and you were pitching against the U.S. Olympic team.
Mhm.
And after the game, they left, but you were inundated with kids wanting your autograph and parents talking to me about you and what an inspiration you were to their daughters. And it wasn't because of softball. It was because of the things that you had to deal with of being different, and how their daughters struggled with being different. You with, the makeup and, the
Piercings,
flowers,
tattoos, yeah.
things like
The
that.
goth girl look.
Yeah. You didn't have the red, white, and blue ribbon in your hair. And so that was another one where when parents came up to me and told me what an inspiration you were to their daughters, that was, another one of those things that just I'm so proud about. So, it'd be easy to say things, softball games, pitching College World Series, all this other stuff. But, those were just little experiences that were all great. But this is the real stuff.
What was the transition for you like after college softball?
So my mom's been kind of having a hard time not being able to see all of her friends and hang out with everybody at the games. Obviously, she's still watching the Sooners and the fall games that they're having, but she's like, it's just different. And as said before, she's the person that's up and down cheering the whole game. So she misses that aspect of it, traveling all over the place to come watch us play. And she said that she feels like part of her life is over and she has to find something else to kind of fill it up with, and misses seeing me every week during season, and but she does enjoy the daily phone calls that we have. So
It took some getting used to, obviously. When you have a child that's a son or daughter in sports, and especially something like softball, where you're playing spring, summer, fall, and you get a little time off when you're practicing in the winter, that becomes your life. And then all of a sudden, all those weekends, all those practices, all that stuff is gone. And it took some getting used to, because that was a huge part of our life. Obviously you went off and played in Europe and played pro fast pitch, but which was fun, but it wasn't the same experience. And we just you were afar, and we travel to watch or try and watch it online and such, but it wasn't the same. So it was a big transition. You just fill it with your time with other stuff, and over time your time is spent reminiscing about all the good times, and the bad times, which fortunately there weren't that many, but the bad times kind of fade away into the ether, and you remember lots of great people and situations and all that. So that's it. It's a transition. It's tough, because anybody that has a daughter that plays softball on a traveling team, and then goes out and plays in college, big part of your life revolves around that. It leaves a hole initially, and but then life goes on and you fill them in with other things, and your daughters go off and do other things that are peripherally involved in. So that's it. Yeah, that's everything ends as just like softball. So especially, I would think, at the level that you guys play, and not D1, top level D1, but at the competitive level that you guys played, and the number of games and all that stuff. I mean, I think it's also the energy and the competition, and like me being competitive by nature, you lose that, because like I had said earlier, is I feel some of my competitive juices watching Christina play. Well, I lose that too. And so you find other ways to fill those voids.
So those are all the questions that we had for our parents regarding their experiences being a pitcher's parent at all levels. Stay tuned next week when we talk to them about things they wish they would have done differently, advice they would give, and their experiences going through the recruiting process.
bye.